Welcome to my channel, Kelly Rene Everyday, where I'm here dedicated to teaching you the fundamentals of crochet through beginner-friendly projects like we see here. I am super excited to bring to you the OM Gorgeous, or the Oh My Gorgeous crochet throw blanket that we see here today. You're going to notice that we have these beautiful chevrons in alternating colors. I'm going to be showing you this 2-row repeat. And I just want to let you know that the free written pattern for this and all of my projects are on my website at kellyreneeveryday.com. Now, if you find that this tutorial is helpful, I would really appreciate you giving it a like or even subscribing to my channel and even sharing it with those you think might find it useful. But if you do have any questions as we move along, don't forget to put your comments down in the comments down below, and I will be checking those out. Now, I think we're going to be ready to move on, but you will notice that all the links down below for all of the supplies, but also my website, are going to be down below, as well as maybe some additional videos that you might find handy. So I guess we're ready to get started. Okay, let's talk supplies. So the things that you're going to need for this project are 2 cakes of the Caron latte cakes in the color cream. This is a bulky 5 yarn, and on this cake there are 530 yards or 485 meters. You need 2 of these, okay? We are going to be holding this together at the same time with the yarns that we see here. You are going to need 1 of each of these 3 colors. This is the Yarn Bee Easygoing in Cottage Rose. You can find this at Hobby Lobby, or I will also link down below all of the supplies that you see here that you can get on Amazon. Then the next one that we have here is going to be Saccharine Citrus in that same Yarn Bee Easygoing. And then I have the color Sky, which is this blue in the Easygoing yarn. So 1 of each of these colors. Then you're going to need 3 of these skeins in this frosting color, or this off-white. Now, each one of these skeins has 175 yards on it. So this is also a number 4 medium weight. So if you have number 4 medium weight that you like and the colors that you want to create, you can go ahead and use anything that's a number 4 weight yarn. Now, like I said, we're going to be holding these 2 colors together, so that means we're going to need a larger hook size. So this is a US L11 or an 8mm hook. I'll have this one also linked down below, but any 8mm will do, whatever you prefer. And then I also have a yarn needle just to weave in a couple ends that we're going to have. I'm actually going to be showing you in this tutorial how you can minimize weaving in the ends by crocheting over them as you go. And then also you're going to need a scissors for the couple times that we need to do some cutting. So with that, I think that is going to take care of it for the supplies, and we're ready to jump in. Okay, so as we get started, I wanted to talk a little bit about the process that we're going to take. So the first thing we're going to be doing is we are going to be establishing our foundation chain. So we'll talk about multiples in just a little bit. Now we are going to be holding the 2 strands of yarn together, which are the latte cakes, which is kind of that fuzzy soft yarn, with a color. Okay, so we'll get started with that as well. Now, what I did here was this is going to be a 2-row repeat. Okay, so that means that for every one of our colors, we're going to be doing 2 rows. The first row is here, and it is going to be using double crochets that are going to be, we're going to find out in 9 multiples. Then we're going to be going to our second row with the same color, and that second row is going to utilize double crochets with chains in between. So that's what causes the space here. And then we're going to change colors, and we're going to do that very same pattern again, where we're going to do the double crochets 9 in a row, if you would. And then we're going to do a second row in the same color where we have the double crochets with a chain in between to create then those holes, if you would, in between. Then we're going to go back to our cream color, or actually called frosting, and we're going to do 2 rows there. Then we're going to do the Saccharine Citrus, 2 rows there. Then back to the frosting, and then we're going to go to the Cottage Rose, back to the frosting. And then we're going to see that we then start over with our pattern with the blue, then the Saccharine Citrus, and the Cottage Rose, alternating with the cream color in between. Okay, So to get started, let's talk multiples. All right. Now, as we look at our chevron and we go up and down, okay. So I'm going to kind of start on this end here. So what we end up having is we have, we go down to what I call a valley, then we go up to a peak, and then we come down to another valley and we go up to a peak. Now, when we look from, if you would, the start to the top of the second peak, this is going to be a series of 45 chains. Okay. Now, how this works though, is we have 22 and then we have 23 because there's a shared stitch in between here. Okay. And we'll look at that when we actually do the multiples. So if you're going to do a full up and a down like this is a total of 45. So that would be 45. And then if you want to add any additionals, then you're going to have then, if you would, another section of 45, because now it goes down and up again, that same amount. Okay. And then any additionals, and I added one additional, I added then a 22. Okay. So we'll talk about this in a little bit more detail, but that's going to be the chain multiple. So technically it goes 22. I'll kind of go back to here. 22 plus 23. Then it goes 22 plus 23. Right? And then my last one was a 22. Now, once I get it to however many peaks and valleys that I want, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 4 chains to the end, and that's going to account for the turning and getting started. Okay. So what I did on mine is I did 2 sections of 45. I added a 22, and then I did 4 to make my turn. So my total width, if you want to accomplish the very same width that I do, which is 43 inches, okay, you are going to chain 116, okay? So it's going to be 45, 45, 22 plus 4 for the turn. Okay, so now to get started with that. So let me kind of get this out of the way here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in here a little bit because I want to be sure that you can get a really good look at what I have. So I am going to start by grabbing the first color. Now, because I'm going to be starting with the frosting or the cream color, that's what I'm going to get started with here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my latte cake. Okay. Now, again, as we said earlier, we are actually going to be holding these 2 yarns together. So I pull from the center of my latte cake, comes out really nicely. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to line up the very starts of each one of these, and then I am going to hold these 2 together. Okay. So as you are, and I'm going to kind of, push these together for a little bit here, just so I have a length, so I can show you how I get started. And I just kind of pull this together into a pile. Now, something else that I use, one other supply that I didn't mention in the list of supplies. Now, this is not required, like yarn and a crochet hook, but I use this Tupperware, that's a bowl, okay? And this is where I put now the cake will always sit really nicely when you pull from the center, so I don't have to worry about that rolling around. But this guy is gonna roll around. So I put it inside of here, and so as I pull, then it's not rolling all over my table. So that would be an additional supply. I'll link that down below. Any bowl will do, quite honestly. I just happen to like Tupperware, so it's a dual purpose. So if you like Tupperware, that's a bowl. Medium size is the perfect size, and I'll put that link down below just in case anybody wants to order it, or if you know somebody who deals with Tupperware, then that'll work too. So all you want to do is you want to get your yarn on your hook by putting a slip knot in place. And again, we're using an 8mm hook, and we're simply going to chain, like I said, in multiples of 22 plus 23, which is 45, 22 plus 23, 22 plus 23, all the way until you get as wide as you want. And again, my base chain is 116 chains. So to do that, we're simply going to yarn over and pull through the loop. Okay. Now on your foundation chain, make sure you're chaining kind of loose here, okay? If you chain tight, then it's gonna, number one, be harder to get your stitches into the chains, but also it's going to like kind of make that part of the blanket seem you know, shorter than the actual width is. So, so go nice and loose. Make sure there's a little bit of gap as you go through here, okay, that it's not tight up against, and that you're always pulling your loop to the widest part of that barrel. And again, you're gonna go ahead and you're going to chain a total of 116 if you want to achieve the very same width, 43 inches, for the throw blanket that that I created here. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna make my chain 116 long, and I'll meet you back. So now that I have a nice long chain of 116 chains, I'm ready to start my first row. Now I am gonna do a double crochet in the 5th chain from my hook. So the loop that's on my hook is not considered a chain, but where it's coming out of is the 1st chain, 2nd chain, 3rd, 4th, and then the 5th one is gonna go right into here. So I'm gonna pick my yarn up and my chains, and I am simply going to start by yarning over, and I'm gonna go right into that 5th chain from my hook, okay? So I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna do a double crochet. So I'm gonna yarn over, pull up a loop. I've got 3 loops on, and then I'm going to yarn over, pull through the first 2, and yarn over and pull through the last 2. So I've got a double crochet in that chain. Now, I am going to do 8 more for a total of 9 double crochets in a row along my chain, okay? So I am going to simply yarn over, and in the very next chain, I'm going to do another double crochet. So that's going to be 2 double crochets, okay? 1, 2. The turning does count as, it actually counts as a double crochet and a chain. And that's going to be how we're always going to end each one of our rows. So that's already done with the 4 chains that are on the end here. So the first double crochet, 2nd double crochet. Now we're going to do 3. And again, we're going to have 9 in a row. So 3, 4, okay, 5, 6, 7, okay, 8, and 9, okay? So 9 in a row. 9 is going to be one of the numbers we keep using over and over. So I made, all right, this was my turning. This is the turning, so that doesn't count. But I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 double crochets in a row. All right. Now what we're going to do is this is going to be our first, I'm going to call it our first peak. Okay. Well, no, I think it's, yeah, it's a peak. It's going to be the bottom. It's going to come down. So what we're going to do is we are going to start a double crochet, but we're going to do 3 double crochets together. Okay. So I'm going to start by yarning over, and in the very next loop, or in the very next chain, I'm going to go in, I'm going to yarn over, pull up this loop, and I'm going to yarn over and just pull through the 2. Okay. Now I'm not going to finish that double crochet. I'm going to now yarn over. I'm going to skip a chain. Okay, I'm skipping this one. So in the very next one, so there's going to be one in between, I'm going to then go in, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through just the first 2. So now I've got 3 loops on my hook. Okay, so I've got 2 double crochets started. Okay, you see them there? Now I'm going to do that very same thing one more time. I'm going to skip a chain, and now in the next chain, I'm going to yarn over, go in, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and just pull through the first 2. So what I've got started here is, you can kind of see, it's 1, 2, 3, starts of double crochets. But now to get those 3 together, okay, all I'm going to do is, it's like I'm going to finish the double crochet. I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to pull through all 4 loops on my hook. So what we did was we put 1, 2, 3 together as one. It's called 3 double crochets together. You'll see it abbreviated on a pattern for 3 DC TOG. So 3 double crochets together. Okay, so we got those 3 together. And then for each one of these, don't forget, there is a chain in between each. Okay, and then now what we're going to do is we are going to put 9 double crochets into the next 9 chains. So we're not going to go into this one. We're going to go into the very next one. So go directly in. This is going to be 1. Oopsie. Make sure you get those 2 on your loop. And that's going to be something that you're going to have to watch as you go along. Make sure you're always grabbing both pieces of yarn and going in underneath both pieces of yarn so that you don't accidentally just grab one at a time. Okay, so 9 in a row double crochets. So this is my 3rd one. Okay, and then 4th, 5th, 6, 7, and 8, and 9. Okay, so now it doesn't hurt to always count. So I have my 3 double crochets together. So my next one is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so what we have going on here is, this was our first, if you would, our first valley. Okay, and now we're going up to our peak. We're going to now create our first peak. Now to do that, after we have our 9 double crochets in a row, we're simply going to chain 1, 2, 3. That's it. Okay, and now we're going to do a double crochet back into the same stitch as the last double crochet that we did. So we're going to yarn over, go into that same stitch, pull up our loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and now we're going to do a total of 9 going back down. Okay, so that was 1 double crochet. This is going to be 2, 3, 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, so let's see what we've got. I'm going to kind of put this down again. Okay, so this was our start. We came down to our valley, we went up to our peak, and now we're coming back down to another valley. So we're going to do another valley just like we did here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 double crochets. So now we're going to do 3 double crochets together, and we're going to yarn over first. We're going to go into the very next chain. Make sure to go underneath the 2 strands of yarn. Okay, we're going to yarn over and pull through just the first 2. We're not going to finish it. Now we're going to skip a chain, and then we're going to do that very same thing into the next one. So I'm going to yarn over, pull up a loop, make sure you skip that chain, and I'm going to yarn over and pull through 2. Okay, and then we're going to do that one more time. Skip a chain, and then we're going to go into the next one, yarn over, go in, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So we've got 1, 2, 3 double crochets started. To pull them all together, we're going to yarn over and pull through all 4 loops on your hook. There we go. So we've got 3 together. Okay, so that was our next valley. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go back up and we're going to do 9 double crochets in a row, and then we're going to do our chain 3 and then do 9 going back the same direction. So let's do another 9, and we're going to continue this same pattern all the way, all the way to the end of our chain. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, 6, get both strands, 7, 8, and 9. Now I always recount because even if I'm counting along, you know, something can go awry. So here was my last valley. So these were the 3 together. So I start with this straight 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so now I'm ready for my chain 3 to create the peak. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then now we're going to do double crochet right back into that shared stitch. Okay, and this is where, that's why the multiple is 22, 23, 22, 23, and so on. And now I'm going to do 9 in a row, and then I'm going to do a 3 double crochet together to do my valley. And then I'm going to do another 9 in a row. We're going to continue on, and then we're going to do our chain 3 for the peak. And you are going to then get to the end of your row. So when you get all the way to the end of your chain, okay, you're going to do your last double crochet in your series of 9, and I'll tell you how to finish this row and then make a turn and start our next row. So I'll meet you back at the end. Okay, so now you should be to the very end of your chain, and you would have done one last double crochet in a series of 9 in that last chain. Now to finish this row, we need to do one more thing. We need to add a chain, and then we're going to do one last double crochet right back into the same stitch as our very last double crochet in our series of 9. So then we're going to finish with a double crochet. So once you get your series of 9 in, you're going to chain and then do one last double crochet. And that ends our first row. Now we're ready to go to our next row. I'm going to zoom back in here so we can get a good look. And we are always going to chain 4. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we're going to turn. Okay, so I'm going to turn, put everything on the other side, okay, and now we're going to work back in the other direction. Now, to work back in the other direction, I'm going to kind of put this down here and kind of see what we've got, and we're going to zoom in here because I want to make sure you know exactly where we're going to go in. So now this chain 3 plus 1, so a total of 4, is considered a double crochet and a chain 1, okay, and we are going to go into the chain 1 from the previous row. So remember, we did a last double crochet right here. We did a chain 1, which is right there, and then we did a double crochet to end the row. All right, so this was in our series of 9, double crochet, chain, and then last double crochet to end our row. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do a double crochet into the chain that we did. So don't go in the chain space, go into the actual chain. So we're going to go underneath the 2 V's, if you would, of that chain. Okay, so I am going to pick everything up here, and we're going to yarn over, and we're going to double crochet into the chain. Okay, and then I'm going to yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through 2, and that's our first double crochet. Now this row, we are not going to do the exact same way as we did the last. We are going to do, after we do a double crochet, we're going to chain in between, and then we're going to skip a stitch down below, and we're going to do a double crochet into the next one. So we're going to yarn over, go into the next stitch. So I'm just going to kind of show what we have here again. We just did a double crochet into that chain. This is the stitch that we're going to skip, so that's right here. Okay, the top of the actual stitch is the V right there. Okay, we're going to skip that one, and we're going to go underneath the V for the next stitch. So when we look at it here, we are going to go into this stitch right here. So we're skipping this one, and we're going into that one. But remember to do your chain in between. So we chained, we're going to do another double crochet by skipping that stitch and going into the next one. So we went underneath both V's right here. We look at the top of the stitch, and then we're going to yarn over. We're going to pull up that loop, and we've got 3 loops on. We're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. Okay, so we did a double crochet, and by doing that chain in between and skipping the stitch, we now have that little space there. Okay, and that's what creates a little bit of interest and delicacy here, I think, in the Afghan. So now I'm going to chain. We're going to skip a stitch. So again, we're not going to go into this one. Okay, we're going to skip that one, and we're going to go into the very next one. So I'm going to yarn over, and we're going to go into the next one. Yarn over, pull up our loop, and we're going to finish up a double crochet. And we're going to continue to alternate that. So I got a chain, we're going to skip a stitch, and we're going to go into the next one. Yarn over, go underneath both V's, right underneath there, yarn over, pull up that loop, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. Okay, so now, so far, we started, this was our turning that really, we don't count that right now. We count the first one, second one, third one, fourth one. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We need to do 5 of these. So we're going to do a chain. We're going to do one more, skip a stitch, and go into the next one. Yarn over and double crochet into that next stitch. Okay. Now, what we have here is we are now to our first valley. And in our first valley, remember, we did 1, 2, 3 double crochets together, and they join right here. Okay, they join right there. So we've got 1, 2, 3 coming from that. So now what we're going to do is we are not going to chain here. This was our last double crochet in a series of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We chained in between each one, but now we're going to simply do a double crochet, no chain, and we're going to go skip a stitch, go right into the middle, which is the top of those 3 double crochets together, and we're going to do a double crochet. Okay? And then we're going to skip a stitch, and we're going to do one more double crochet. Do not chain. Yarn over, double crochet into the stitch after the skip. Okay, so now we've got 1, 2, 3 double crochets in a row with a stitch in between each one. Okay, now we're going to start our next series of 5. So this is our first one. We're going to chain. Okay, we're going to skip a stitch, yarn over, and we're going to go into the next one with a double crochet. Okay, and now we're going to chain. At the bottom here, we're going to skip a stitch, and we're going to go into a double crochet into the next one. Okay, we're going to chain. We're going to skip a stitch, and we're going to go do a double crochet into the next one. Okay, now this is the 5th one. So if we look, here is our last one that we did, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we are going to do one last one, chain. We're going to yarn over, and I'm going to go into, so here is the last double crochet on the previous row. We're going to go into the first chain on our chain 3. So I'm going to yarn over, and we're going to go into the chain, not into the double crochet. We're going to go after into the chain, and we're going to do a double crochet right here. Okay, and now we are on our peak. So from this point right here, we're simply going to do a 1, 2, 3 chain. Okay, and then I'm going to yarn over, and I am going to do a double crochet in the last chain of that 3 chain from the previous row. So here's the double crochet, so this is the chain right before. Okay, so I'm going to yarn over, go right into the chain, not into the double crochet, but into the chain, and I'm going to double crochet into that last chain. Okay, so basically what we did was We double crocheted in the first chain of the chain 3 from the previous row. We chained 3, and then we double crocheted into the last chain of that chain 3 from the previous row. And that created now the new peak on this next row. So now we're going to chain, and we're going to skip a stitch, and we're going to now double crochet into the next one. So yarn over, go in, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We're going to chain, okay, that was 1, 2, skip, we're going to double crochet into the next one. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. Okay, and then we're going to chain again. Okay, so as we look here, we need 5 total. 1, 2, 3. Do this 2 more times. We're going to yarn over, double crochet, we're going to skip, and we're going to go into the next one. Chain, skip, double crochet into this one. Now we're at our valley, okay? And if we go back and we count, we should have our 5th double crochet. So from our peak, which was here, okay, so if I kind of lay this out, from our peak, which was here, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now this is our valley, and we are going to do 3 double crochets in every other, but we're not going to chain in between. So we're going to yarn over, skip a stitch, and now this is at the top of the 3 double crochets together. We're going to go right into that one with a double crochet. Okay, and then we're going to skip one more, and we're going to do another double crochet. No chaining here. Yarn over, and then we're going to double crochet. So this is not double crocheting 3 together. This is just 3 double crochets with a stitch in between. Okay, and then now we're going to continue on with our chain, and then we're going to skip and a double crochet into the next. Chain, skip, double crochet into the next. So this isn't hard for a beginner because these are all those fundamental stitches. Chain, skip, and then double crochet into the next. But it's counting. It's just kind of keeping track here to be sure we know where we're going. Okay, now as I lay this down, I'm going to look one more time. How many double crochets do I have up here? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've got one more. I need a series of 5. So I'm going to chain, and then I'm going to double crochet into now. Here's our double crochet right here from the previous. That's right next to it. And so we're going to double crochet into the first chain of that chain 3 from the previous row. So we're going to go in, pull up that loop, pull through 2, pull through 2. And then I'm going to do a 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to go over, and in the last chain on that chain 3 from the previous row, I'm going to double crochet right into there. Okay. Then we're going to skip the first stitch. We're going to chain, and we're going to double crochet into the next one. So we're going to continue that very same pattern. Okay. And we're going to continue to do that. So then once you get down to the bottom by your valley, you're going to do the 3 double crochets, and then you're going to work back up, and then you're going to do the chain 3 for the peak. So continue this very same pattern all the way to the end of your row. And then I'll meet you back at the end. So I'll teach you how to turn and then change colors. Okay, so now I have a couple stitches left. I'm going back up to the very end of my row. And what we're going to do is I just did a double crochet and a chain. And now I'm going to skip a stitch, and I'm going to double crochet in the next one. Okay. All right. And now I'm going to chain. And now I am going to do a double crochet because I'm going to have to skip this stitch. I'm going to double crochet into the chain. Okay, that was the chain from the previous row. So I'm going to double crochet into the chain. Okay. And that's the first double crochet I'm going to go in this chain. Then I'm going to chain in between, just like we did on the previous row. And I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to do a double crochet right back into that very same chain. And I need to end each one of my rows with a double crochet, chain, double crochet into that same one for either one that I'm looking at. So that's how I'm finishing up. Now, when you need to change colors, okay, I'm going to back this up just a little bit, okay? Before I finish my double crochet, I'm going to pull this back out. I'm going to go back. So I am going to do my last double crochet. I'm going to yarn over with the current color. I'm going to go in. I'm going to yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and I'm going to stop there, okay? This is where I'm going to introduce my new color. Now, the latte cakes is going to be running through all of the colors. So we never cut this when we change colors. So this one is going to continue on with us. But the one that we're going to cut is going to be the color that we're just done with, which is going to be our frosting in this case. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to leave longer tail, okay? And I'm going to cut this off. All right, so now I'm done for right now with that color. I want to show you how I changed color so that I minimize also the amount that I have to actually weave in at the very end. So now I'm going to come in with my next color, which is going to be the sky blue. Now I am going to kind of loop this around, and this is going to be my tail. So I want a little bit, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches of a tail. And I'm going to take and I'm simply going to loop this onto my hook as it's laying above. Okay. All right. Then I'm going to grab onto my latte cakes and I'm going to put that over the top. And I'm also going to grab onto and I'm going to pull through the color from that previous row. They're all going to come through and they're going to finish my double crochet. I'm going to pull all of those through to finish that double crochet in those last 2 loops. And now I've got basically 1, 2, 3 colors on. Okay, and that's okay because now I am going to officially drop, if you would, on my chain the tail of the previous color. I'm also going to drop the tail of the blue. Okay, and the only thing that I'm going to go with on the blue on my chain for the rest of the chains here, I'm going to get this one out of the way here, you might have to kind of, is the latte cakes and my working yarn that goes to my ball. Okay, and now I am going to do a chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that's just with now my new color intertwined with the latte cakes. And now I'm going to turn. Okay. So now to minimize the amount that we are going to be weaving in at the end. Okay. Now this is a choice. If you like weaving in ends, great, then leave them hang here, but I don't. And I actually really like to weave these in as I go. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to lay the tails of the blue and the ivory. Okay, I'm going to lay those, I'm going to bring them up and I'm going to lay them on top of the row before. And then as I put my stitches in place, I'm going to weave, I'm going to like crochet them right in. I'm actually going to pull some of my blue out here so that it's available. Oopsie. Just noticing I've got a bit of an end there. I've got a couple of these ready so that a little bit of. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start my row the same way that I did on the previous row. Now I'm going to kind of put these out of the way for a second. I am going to start my double crochet not in the first stitch, but in the chain from the previous row. Okay, and that's where I'm going to start my series of 9 double crochets in a row. So I'm going to start there. I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to pull these 2 tails back up on top, and I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to go underneath those tails in through the bottom here. I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to pull my loop up, and I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to pull through 2. And pull through 2. And notice that my yarn just stays in the middle here, kind of on top of the previous row. And now it's just going to incorporate. So I'll show you as we do a couple more stitches, yarn over, go into our next stitch. Now this is our row. We're going to do 9 double crochets in a row. Remember, this is a 2-row repeat. So our first row of our color is always going to be like the 9 double crochets in a row. And then notice that those are in there. And then I'm going to do my next one, and that's going to go into the actual chain from the previous row. Okay. double crochet. So now I've got 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to double crochet into the next one. That's 4. And then because there was a chain on the previous row, I'm going to double crochet into the chain, keeping those 2 tails on top. And what this allows me to do is when I get towards the end of those, I can just cut them off. And now I'm not going to have to weave in any ends of those colors. I'm going to yarn over, go into the next one, double crochet. Okay. Yarn over, double crochet, this time into the chain from the previous row, making sure that I'm keeping those tails in between. Okay. Yarn over, go into the next double crochet from the previous row. And now I'm getting to the end of one of my yarns, which is totally fine. Okay, which means that now that I have it there and I've got it now woven in. Now, if I look at the front here, I can't even tell that those are there. And if I even look at the back, I can't tell that those are there. They're just like in there. So this eliminates having to weave those in at the very end, which honestly, it's nice not to have to worry about that. And it looks really nice. Okay. So now you're going to continue the very same pattern. So let's count how many I have. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got to do one more double crochet, and that's going to be into the chain from the previous row. Okay. And then now this is a valley. So if you remember on our valley, we are going to do 3 double crochets together on these next 3 stitches right here. Okay, so I am going to yarn over. I'm going to go into this first one. I am going to yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, then I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to go into the very next one, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Then I'm going to yarn over, go into the very next one. So this is like, if you would, 3 in a row, yarn over, pull through 2. So now what we have is we have the start of 3 double crochets, and now to finish them all up into one, I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 4 loops. So I've got 3 double crochets together right there, and that's going to be the valley on this row. And now I'm going to continue. I'm going to do 9 double crochets up, and then we're going to do our chain 3. So I'm going to yarn over, and that means I'm going to go right into the first chain here, and I'm going to do another double crochet. Okay. And I'm going to do a total of 9 double crochets all the way up to the peak, the peak of my next section. Okay, I gotta get some more yarn here so I can show you that. Let me get back in there and redo that stitch. So I've got 1, 2, 3 into the chain, 4, 5 into the chain. Odds are always going to go into the chains. That's how you know if you're counting right. Or evens are going to go into the stitches when we're on this row. Okay. So I'm going to count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 into the chain. 8 is going to go into the double crochet from the previous row. And now I am up to my chain. So I've got, if I look at my number here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I need 9, remember, and my 9th one is going to go into the first chain of the chain 3 from the previous row. So double crochet into the chain, and then we're going to chain 3, just like we did on the previous one. 1, 2, 3. And now I'm going to double crochet into the third chain, the last chain, if you would, from the previous chain 3. So yarn over, go into the last chain with a double crochet. And then now we're going to proceed with 8 more double crochets for a total of 9 to get down to our valley. And we're going to continue on exactly this way. So yarn over, I'm going to go into that first double crochet from the previous row. See? This is my second double crochet because the first double crochet was coming off of that chain 3. Here's my second. And then my third one is going to go into the chain. Remember, odd numbers are going into the chains. Evens are going into the double crochets. So this one's 4. My next one is 5 into the chain. Odd number into the chain. Oops, I didn't get my white latte cakes. Let me go back in. Try that again. And that's the, you know, I don't know if it's a challenge, but it is something you just have to be sure that you're always pulling through the 2 strands so that you don't forget one. And if you do, then you just back up and do it again. Okay. And this should be 8. All right, let me double check and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So then I've got to do 9. Okay. 9 into the chain, odd number. And then now we're going to do 3 double crochets together into the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. That's the first one. Got to pull a little bit more yarn. And then I'm going to yarn over, go into the next one, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through just the first 2. Yarn over into the next one, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over just through 2. So now we've got the start of 3 double crochets. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 4. And now we're going to do another, kind of look here, another 9 double crochets up, chain 3, 9 double crochets down. And we're going to continue on that very same pattern all the way to the end. And I'll meet you up at the end of this. Okay, now I'm to the very end of this row, and I have my 8 double crochets going up to the end. So now I'm going to finish the row just like I did previously, and I am going to put a double crochet into the chain. Okay, so I'm going to double crochet into the chain, and then I'm going to do a chain 1, and then I'm going to double crochet right back into that same stitch that I did my last double crochet in. Okay, and now this row is finished. So now I'm going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then I'm going to turn. And then we're going to do the row with the chain spaces. So remember, this is a 2-row repeat. So now I am going to find where my chain was in the previous row. So the chain is right here. I'm going to double crochet into the chain. And then I'm going to do a chain after. I'm going to skip a stitch and I'm going to double crochet into the next stitch. And then I'm going to continue that very same pattern down like we did. And then we are going to continue on with this color of blue all the way to the end. And then we're going to go back to ivory. And then I'm going to kind of bring this back in. So I'm going to do my 2 rows of blue, 2 rows of ivory or that cream color. And then I did that mustard or that saccharine citrus. And then 2 of the ivory and then the cottage rose. And then continue to repeat starting back with the blue again. So 2 rows of each color back and forth. And you create this really pretty, beautiful effect with the latte cakes in between. And you will only have 2 ends to weave in at the very end using the technique that I taught you of crocheting over your ends on each one of your color changes. So this brings us to the very end of our tutorial. I hope you enjoyed this. If you found it helpful, I would appreciate a like, a share. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to comment and leave them below and I will get back to you. And don't forget, check out my free pattern for this and many other projects on my website, kellyreneeveryday.com. So thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you in my next tutorial.